People see me as the professional againster. That's what they call James Cagney, because he was against most of the things that the movie industry was for during his time as an actor. I am the professional againster, but I'm not the professional againster against art or the expressiveness that one puts into their music. I'm the professional againster against the principles that bass education is teaching you, and that I see not only as flawed, but having already held back a generation from musical improvement. So I'm doing my best to share thoughts with people that might not like what I say, but I'm still waiting to hear where my views might be flawed. Welcome to another episode of And Nothing But the Truth. History certainly didn't begin, in my case, as being the first guy in history who was against popular consensus. There's hundreds of names of people who, in the face of a majority, said that the principles that people believed in were not real. They were flawed. Some lost their lives for their views. Some were ostracized for their views, certainly by the majority. I'm of the mind that no matter the dues that have come to me, that it's still important to share a thought or thoughts whereby the reason that I am critical of an entire industry, that is bass education, is because people aren't improving from it. I mentioned a while ago a statistic that 90-something percent, 98% could it be? People could check this, of law grads from Harvard find employment within 10 months. One reason is because the law has been taught via checks and balances required by law to teach students in certain ways that are guaranteed to give them the best education to become lawyers, because their responsibility is a lot higher, let's say, than a musician's responsibility is. People's lives, people's finances are all on the line. But because people in general, not always, generally don't take music that seriously, people are willing to accept, I would say, the notions and statements and views of teachers that make them feel good rather than teaching them how to play. They would accept the idea that going to college in order to network, that's a big one, that people go to meet people in order to make a career, when the reason one goes to music college is to learn how to play better. But this is not necessarily a full-time focus for a lot of people. The distractions of Q&As. You meet a famous musician and the musician shares with you how they became successful. Looking at people's statements. Now this comes from the internet, and teachers, whereby everybody says everybody's different. Everybody learns differently. If this philosophy is true, then it is absolutely a hit or miss that any number of named musicians who lecture to you will be able to share a point of regard about either learning how to play or acquiring a music career that will apply to you. It's as much a gamble as a Las Vegas crap table. And I want people to understand that my views, the professional againster that I am, is against the business that has not served you well, has misguided people in the philosophies they share, because people literally believe, and I've read this, that people will hire a lesser bass player if he's nice than a really good bass player if he's not. Where the flaw in this thinking is that it doesn't come down to two conclusions. You could be nice and play great, but if you have another guy who's nice and doesn't play quite so great, you're going to get that gig. And where the failure in bass education, in bass camps, in schools where bass is taught, online lessons in general, and the whole gamut of things that people trust to improve their bass playing, is that music isn't 100% the core. I even saw some lessons that had tablature before it, under it, whereby there were lessons of notes, and under it is tablature. And tablature essentially means that the teaching and the learning of music is not enough. And it's top name and top influencers that in part are giving you this message. You are not in good hands. Artistically, these people are wonderful. Artistically, I have no comments because people play as they feel. But bass education has prompted, whereby a guy like me with the background in music that I have, to literally maybe stand alone and tell an entire world community of educators that you're not doing it right, and that the students are possibly pretty naive and in their love of teachers and love of the idea of musical improvement than actually understand what it takes to musically improve. You musically improve by work, by grit, by struggle, and by mistakes. And don't let anybody tell you differently. Jamming is not a place to improve, it's a place to produce. Yeah, you can learn a little and be in that, but the reason that jamming isn't in itself a beneficial experience is because people have been jamming for a long time and haven't gotten better. There's a reason the principle of improvement is not isolated in a jam experience. Q's and A's, as I said before. Hi, I'm famous. Let me tell you how I did it. It's a hit and miss principle. And all of the elements related to the hands, and all of the picking, and all of the thumbing, and all of these things that are related to digits, all of the things related to learning rhythm, it excludes the principles of tonality. Your bass is built to make notes. That's what it's built for. And in the exclusion of notes and the inclusion of tabs and I would call it the smorgasbord of teaching, the varieties of options, classes in slap, classes in using the pick, classes in tap, classes in jocko, classes in metal, classes in blues. The variety is so broad that the specific mandated way to learn how to play is very difficult to find. Teachers aren't qualified for the most part, bass teachers. Only the upright teachers. These are the guys that are the most qualified to teach you. So there is a flaw here, and I am a professional against her. I'll stand up kind of in this similar philosophy as Ali. I'm not Ali, but I understand the philosophy. Ali, Tesla, who else? Galileo, even Stravinsky caused a riot by the newness of one of his works. I'm against the business that is not serving you and feel that somebody's got to stand up for musical truth. And the more that people dislike my views and are angry with me, I am sorry that's the truth, and I don't mean to cause you harm, but if people are amateurs, meaning not interested in the development of their musical careers or are reaching heights of playing that are presently unavailable, if you're not looking for this, then ignore my thoughts and don't let what I share affect you, because I can't be talking to you. I'm not talking to people that take it lightly. I wish you'd come over to this side of the fence, but if people don't, then there's little I can share here that's actually going to impact on you. But if people are serious about music, I believe you won't find it in schools and you won't find it anywhere else. You'll find it sitting in a room with one or two guys that teaches you music, because music is what is meant to get you to play better. And if a bass teacher or bass events or any of these things don't focus entirely on music, then yeah, I'm the professional against her, because it isn't helping you. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button. Thank you for watching.